All right, welcome back to the Conviction Fiction Podcast. My name is Antoine Rivers, and today we've been blessed, man. We have a legendary artist on here. We're gonna, we first of all we dig into real stories, real struggles, and real transformations, because conviction doesn't have to mean conclusion. I'm your host again, Antoine Rivers, and today, this is someone who has carried weight in hip hop and advocacy and in redemption for decades. Let's go ahead and get into it because I'm not even going to waste any time with this, bro. We need to go ahead and get into the conviction fiction. Here we go. Now, you probably heard of his music. You might know his story, but what you're about to hear is more than a headline. This is about perseverance, transformation, and the purpose that comes from surviving purgatory, both literal and spiritual. He's a strange music artist, a lyrical powerhouse, and an advocate for restorative justice and youth empowerment. His new album is out, A Prophecy in Purgatory, and it's already making waves. It's my honor to welcome X-Rated to the Conviction Fiction Podcast. How's it going, bro?
Man, so far so good. Well done. It's a beautiful intro.
Oh man, I mean, you're probably need a little bit more, bro, especially with the story that you have, man. So definitely want to give you your props as we go into it. So, brother, first off, I want to thank you for joining me today. I grew up hearing your name, you know what I'm saying? Hearing your story and listening to your music. Now I'm getting to sit down with you, especially after everything you've been through. It's truly humbling, straight up. So before we even get into the music, how are you feeling in this moment of your life, personally, spiritually, and creatively?
I feel blessed and I feel a significant desire to be worthy of it. That's really where I'm at with it. I feel blessed. And it's a period of time for me to honor the positive forces in my life, the light, to walk into that light and just to bask in it. So that's kind of what I'm doing, and informing the people that I have that transition occurring in my life, and pretty much inviting them to do it too. That's where I'm at.
That's what's up, bro. So when it comes to the music, I know I can relate to that deeply because I remember when I came home, I remember that first breath of like free air. It was like time slowed down for me. You can hear birds differently. The shit is like different, and people don't realize that freedom hits different when you lost it, like when you ain't even been out there like that. So you were 17 years old when everything changed. We're gonna rewind just a little bit. Can you take us back to that time and talk about what it was like being so young and then suddenly facing a life sentence?
Yeah, I was in a situation as a teen where, first of all, I lost the monarch of my family, and when she passed, it created a vacuum. Her absence created a vacuum, and we lost our headquarters, and we lost our queen. And once that happened, I ended up in the streets. A lot of the children, we lost our supervision, and our parents were mourning. I was a fatherless child, unfortunately. I only spent 3 total years of my life in the presence of my father out of my entire life. And so I think I was in a situation where I was in the streets looking for something. I was just outside looking for, in the wilderness, a feral child looking for some type of camaraderie or brotherhood or something. Yeah. And so, I end up in a gang. I'm running the streets and I'm making music. And we just had a terrible incident occur, where we lost one of our loved ones. And as a result of that, we end up taking a tragic action that resulted in the loss of life in our community. And I was arrested along with others, and at the time in California, I didn't have to be directly responsible, wasn't directly responsible, right. But because of the felony murder rule, 5 people total charged with first-degree homicide, even though it's 1 gun, 1 bullet, 1 loss of life. And I ended up facing a death penalty at 17 years old. at what was really the most hopeful point in my life at that time.
Yeah, because you was rapping. You was in the music business. You was doing your thing. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? And that part right there, because they even use your lyrics against you.
they did.
And
They
that's
did.
something that hit me hard because so many youthful people, young people, they express pain through art. And for you, art became evidence. They did that with like Thug up here in Atlanta for a
Mhm.
little bit, you know what I'm saying? And that's something that today under California, what is it? 2799, the House bill or whatever that shit, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It wouldn't even be allowed. So if that law had existed back then, do you think your story would have turned out a little bit differently?
My story would have been very much different. They used the lyrics against me. I was the first person in hip hop history that they did that to, and they used my artwork as well. Put that up. Tried to basically say that the weapon on my album cover, and I'm a 17, I was 16, 17-year-old kid when I took
Yeah,
that picture. So I'm not thinking about First Amendment protections or even making intelligent decisions in my life. I was just thinking about what looked cool, what was cool.
right.
So I take the picture. They say the murder weapon is it's pictured on my album cover, but they never recovered a weapon, so they never did ballistics. They
Yeah,
never was able to prove that, and just kind of railroaded me, man. It was pretty
yeah,
bad.
that's crazy. Especially that says a lot about like the power of expression, bro. Especially for young black artists trying to process trauma through music, bro. And
Hmm.
I think that's what connects us so deeply to our platform because on here we talk about reclaiming the narrative. We got to change like the story. It's
Yeah,
about saying, yeah, I got a record. I might have did this, but I have a purpose. Here you
yes.
talk about that. Yeah, transforming that is something that we definitely stand for. Now, moving forward, um, with the mentorship. Now, you got a strange mentorship story. Now, a lot of people don't know this. You mentioned before that while you were incarcerated, you formed a close bond with Lyle and Erik Menendez, who actually became mentors to you. That
Hmm.
blew my mind at first because they were just in the news recently, you know what I'm saying, trying to get
Yeah.
out or whatever. Can you tell us how that connection started and what kind of impact that had on you while you was inside?
Well, when I first was incarcerated, I'm 17-year-old gang member, hip hop artist. I got music out. I continued to make and release music during my incarceration, so I hit Billboard charts 5, 6 times in a row, and so like I kind of elevated during my incarceration over the course of the first 10 to 12 years,
Mhm.
from 1992 to about 2004. So by the time I meet Lyle and Erik, I was, getting coverage in Playboy magazine, LA Times, things like that. And Lyle saw that and kind of wanted to just make sure I understood how to move correctly. I think I still was making decisions like somebody from the streets. So it didn't occur to me that the administration could be a tool, that there was a political aspect to being someone influential during my incarceration, and how I could use my influence for myself and to better the environment for other people. And
Mhm.
so Lyle started giving me, some input about that and going to school. Like, hey man, go to school. You got a lot of potential. And just because he was somebody who was also, notorious and in the media, he was doing interviews with Barbara Walters, different things like that, ABC News 2020. And so I just understood that he was a little bit more savvy than me. And he gave me the advice that, you know, to be conscious of the politics and not to be a victim of that, to actually use it to my advantage and to be a tool instead of just being a criminal and thinking like a criminal. And
Okay.
yeah, they continued to do that. I went to school. I started attending some groups that they had actually founded, and getting certificates and things like that. So they kind of became the first people who showed me there was that subculture of people who are a part of rehabilitation versus that culture that you see in the movies where we out here on the weight pile and on the monkey bars, we over here on the dip bars, basketball court, and that's how we live our life. Like there's a subculture of people going to school taking college courses, going to self-help groups, going to therapy, seeing the psychologist, working with the counselor to try to figure out how to get your file situated correctly.
Right.
So they were
Yeah.
the first ones to really give me the game about that.
That's what's up, man. And I work with people through groups like Madioc here in Atlanta. I got the pod movement all the time. Mentorship isn't about someone doing the work for you. It's about someone helping you see yourself clearly, bro. Like when I was locked up, I had a counselor named Jim Walden, bro, who called me out on my own contradictions. He asked me one day, he was like, "You supposed to be here?" I was like, "Nah, I'm supposed to be here, bro. Like, man, I'm smart, bro. I'm, you know what I'm saying? I'm this and I'm that." He's like, I was in prison. It was like right around 2001, right after the 9/11 stuff.
Wow.
And he said, you believe in God? I was like, yeah, of course I believe in God. He said, do you believe like God is like all powerful? He can change things. He can move mountains. He's everywhere and all that. I'm like, yeah, I think he can do that. Yeah, that's what my God can do. And he looked me at that and I was like, so if God wanted you somewhere else, do you think he had the power to have you somewhere else right now? Man, I broke down, bro. That moment, bro, changed everything for me. So when you think about those years, what did you discover about yourself as a man? Not as an artist, not as an inmate, but just as, you know, your government, like Anna Ray. Like, what do you find out about yourself, bro?
Ironically, I had a very similar conversation with Imam Maurice Howard, who told me something very similar about God and faith, and that God could do anything. And if I prepared myself for his blessings and his mercy, that when it arrived, I would already be prepared instead of living my way into these experiences and being surprised when he showed up and unprepared. And so, yeah, I had a very similar conversation where I was challenged to put my faith into action instead of just words. And Maurice Howard was the one who did that. But I see it for me as it is a story about the development of faith. It's going from hopeless to maybe I think I could get out of here, maybe, to having faith, to having hope that develops in the hope, to then belief, like, okay, I believe if I keep doing what I'm supposed to do, I can have a positive outcome. I believe it. To finally ending up in a state of knowing where I'm fully aware if I'm taking care of business the way I'm supposed to take care of it, I'm going to see a positive outcome. I 100% believe it. And whatever obstacles or adversity I face going from point A to point B, that I was a part of the plan too. And to actually have faith to be able to tolerate those experiences as well as the good experiences, to understand that that entire journey is a part of the plan. And once I did that, man, it was everything changed. Everything changed.
Yeah, see, that's right. That's what we're trying to promote on here, because so often the world only sees like the conviction. They never get to witness the construction, the reconstruction of a man, right? And those are those times when you have those spiritual conversations. You have talks about you start to emerge not bitter but better. And it speaks volumes about your spirit, fam. So the next thing we're going to talk about, like from going back to the studio, man, we're getting back to the studio because that's the evolution for recording behind bars, being signed with Tech N9ne and Strange Music now, one of the most respected independent labels in the game. So how did that connection with Tech N9ne come about, and what did that moment mean to you when you realized your next chapter was beginning under Strange Music?
I think even all of that got to be given to God too. I had a show in Kansas City. I have been going back and forth. You know, my grandfather is buried in Kansas City. My cousin Derek Johnson played for the Chiefs, and you know, so I got family that was kind of in and out and around Kansas City at the time. But I was going out there to work with Robert Rebeck, who is an engineer and a producer that worked with Tech N9ne on his earlier projects. And so I went out there to do a show. I started getting blown up. People like, man, you going to the barbecue, or you doing this or do that? I'm like, why? They're like, man, Tech N9ne is looking for you. I'm like, man, he could call me then and give me my phone number. Like, I ain't believing him, but I was
Right,
like, whatever. It happened to me like at
too
least
much
5 times
happened.
in the course
Yeah.
of like 3-4 hours. And finally, one of the young homies, Trez, gave me a call. Who, he's a good man. He got good energy. And Trez was like, "Hey man, Tech is looking for you, man. Where you gonna go eat tonight?" And I told him, and he's like, "I'll be there in 15 minutes. Tech could be there in 30." And
Oh,
sure enough, like I went to the restaurant. I'm chilling. I look up, and he walked right through the door. You
great.
know what I mean? It was like, gave me a big hug. It was like, man, I told you we'll see each other, because we had a social media exchange. He's like, we'll see each
Okay.
other, brother. I'll say, organic experiences always are the best. And sure enough, he walked right through the door, gave me a hug, sat down, ate a meal with us,
Yeah.
kicked it for a couple
Chop it
hours.
up.
And he excused himself, called his partner, came back, handed him the phone. It was like, man, the energy is great. We would love to have a meeting with you. And I ended up sitting down with Travis, spending hours, about 5 or 6 hours with Travis. And then he flew out to Vegas to see me. And Tech was like, hey, man, just tell him what you need, man. Let's get this done. Let's rock out. And ever since then, man, they've been phenomenal. Having
Blessings,
Travis
bro.
and Tech been a big deal for my life, for real.
Blessings, blessings. That's what I love. I mean, I was like catching up on the catalog was strange, and they represent artists who walk in authenticity, man. No filters, no industry gimmicks, and that fits your journey perfectly. Honestly, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Now you dropped a prayer in hell in 2023, a sin in heaven in 2024, and now a prophecy in purgatory in 2025. That's 3 projects in 3 years,
Yeah.
bro. For our listeners who might not have yet heard the album yet, how would you describe a prophecy in purgatory? What does it represent for you personally?
A prophecy of purgatory represents that period of my life where people were saying, if this dude got out of jail, if X-Rated came home, he would be able to do this, and that. He gonna have
Right.
such a positive impact. There's a lot of people who just believed in me, man, who thought I could do well, who thought that I would be healthy for the culture. And that was the prophecy. If this dude gets out, he's gonna be successful and impactful. But also, there's this battle between the flesh, with the ego, and the
Amen.
spirit that's occurring on the album. And on the song, the intro, the interlude, 3 Days in Hades, you hear me walk up to myself, and I ask myself, my spirit asks me, do you know who you are? And I said,
Yeah,
yes.
I
And
remember that part. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that's the statement of ego, because to say I know myself, it's like that's the ego speaking. The flesh is speaking. Indeed, I do. Who are you? And it says, I
I am
am.
you, right?
I am you.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that goes back to Exodus, where Moses is asking God, who do I tell Pharaoh said to let your people go? Who do I tell him? And he said, I am. So it's like to speak to, I am the God in you, I am you. And that's that identification of the flesh and the spirit being at odds. So the
yeah.
first half of that album is the ego speaking, the flesh is speaking, and then you have that death. And I think I pretty much attempted to give an ego death that at least 3 times on this album. The
Yeah.
video for Queen of Hearts, I'm shown doing an execution and chopping off the Mad Hatter's head. So like I'm the executioner and the person
Hold
chopping
up.
off.
Queen of Hearts. That's the one. The hook is like, bring me his head, or
Yeah, off of his
yeah,
head.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Off of
was,
his
yeah, yeah,
head. Yeah,
yeah.
the Queen of Hearts, Alice in Wonderland, she was always screaming off of his head. And
Right,
so
right.
I incorporated that. And that's the first attempt at ego death, where I cut my own head off. And then um, again on Damnation with me and Tech N9ne, I actually have a funeral for my ego. That video, that whole song, in text part is a demand saying, hey man, you have an opportunity to change your life. You gotta walk into the light. You gotta leave your history, your past, the negative aspects of your past, and walk into your present life and your future self, for your future self.
Yeah.
And
And
that,
when I listened to the album, bro, I caught that theme of duality, bro. It was like sin and salvation, pain and prophecy, bro. It's almost spiritual. Like
yeah,
every bar is a prayer and a confession at the same time. Now, one track in particular hit me. It was the harrowing of hell, right?
Mm-hmm.
The theme basically was like, consider me dead, right? I don't fuck
Mm-hmm.
with you no more, right? That
Yeah.
sounded like a man wrestling with both the past and the calling by getting rid of old circles.
Yep.
That was my thing, right? So
Yep.
how did you balance that tension between now? I'm talking about now in the world. How do you balance that tension between who you used to be around and who you become?
I think and the album is a perfect statement of that. I'm glad that you caught that because that was literally what I was attempting to convey. I believe that trying to service the old me and my former life and my former experience is in direct conflict with my ability to successfully live my current life experience. And I think attempting to be beholden to old tenants, beholden to old friends, old philosophies is in direct conflict with my obligations as a father, my obligations as somebody who, has a beautiful woman. I think I have to be committed to what is necessary for my growth and development as an individual, because that's the best thing for my household and the best thing that I could do to give my community an example, a demonstration of what's supposed to happen at this part of life as well. So I think attempting to walk both lanes causes me to have almost a bipolar experience. One minute I got this mask on and I'm in this character, and then I have to go be dad, and I got to go be what I need to be for real life. And so what I've learned is, Honore Brown, my mother's son, has to grow up, and the X-rated has to do it too. He has to grow up too, because I've attempted to have it where there's X-rated and that's just work, that's just my job, but the reality is that coming from a gang experience, that's my real life, that's who I really was, and attempting to get rid of it, especially with respect to X-rated, pays the bills.
You
So
feel
he got to grow up, and I think it's beneficial for my community, for people to see him grow up. So it's like I can't abandon him,
yeah.
and I can't become what people expect that character to be. So he got to grow up. X-rated
Gotta
got to be
evolve.
dad. He got to be dad too. He got to. We talked about Killer Mike. I think he's a perfect example of that. Like everything got to be fully integrated. Every aspect of my life, of my restorative justice actions and pursuits, that all got to be a part of the whole thing. I wake up, that's who I am, and it's an authentic experience. I don't have to wear a mask and be attempting to impress people who, frankly, they respect is worthless to me. I think it's worthless. But I remember having this moment where I realized, like, being a fatherless child created a vacuum in my life with important and necessary male voices.
Yeah.
And I ended up writing a personal constitution. And one of the things I wrote was, what good is the respect of a person whose respect is worthless? And I realized when I did my step 4 inventory that I had gotten a lot of trouble in my life from attempting to demand respect, assert respect, to enforce my perception of respect, that respect was a problem. And I was willing to ruin my life over somebody's respect, even if their respect was worthless, because it was the principle, right? Those were the rules. And I had to learn that attempting to have worthless respect didn't mean nothing. It was just worthless. It wasn't worthy of my attention or efforts. And so I want the respect of people whose respect has value, and that would be my children. God Himself. I want respect from people who are doing things that I admire and that I aspire to do, whether that be in restorative justice, in music, whatever they're doing. I want to elevate, and I want to be appreciated by those people for whatever value I bring to the table. So it's to either be an asset or a liability, and I think attempting to integrate liabilities and assets is an error. It's an
Yeah.
error, and I made that error in my life, and so that's just something I have to stop doing, man. It's time
Yeah,
for.
I get it, bro. Because like we're gonna talk about advocacy because you You have been heavily involved with youth outreach through the Augmented Forensic Youth Program,
Yeah.
helping young people re-enter society and rebuild their lives. Now, that's something that aligns perfectly with our podcast. What inspired you to get involved with that work, and what's been one of the most rewarding moments so far?
I was inspired by the fact that so many people had came through for me and helped me in my life, and I wanted to make sure that I was doing that for other people, but also I realized that I needed help in specific areas that I'm aware of, where some of these people who didn't have experiences like you had
Yeah,
they don't know, they're guessing, and they're moved by the sincerity of their heart, but they don't know, like, yo, this particular area, it needs to be addressed for this human being to be able to move forward with their lives. Like, I needed somebody with a voice, and with, like, it mattered when my homeboy Dooney told me go to school, and he was going to school. That gave me permission. So by the time Lyle started saying, "This is how you go to school. This is how you do self-help groups. This is how you do deal with that media," I was able to hear him because somebody with some authority and sturdiness from our community gave me permission to hear it. And so I want to be that guy for some of these kids who might not be able to get it from somebody else. And I can't time travel and do it for my own young self. So it's almost a selfish undertaking, because by helping other people, it's like I get to go help the younger me. You know what
right.
I mean? Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a part of my healing process.
Yeah, and I always say that reentry, man, especially when you're dealing with getting out and stuff. The one of the best things you can do is like get involved and try to help people stay out, or even mentor or something like that. Because what you're
Mhm.
doing, being visible, being accessible. Now that's how culture shifts, bro. What do you tell that person that's sitting in the cell right now, that's been where you've been where I've been? Like, what do you tell them right now when they don't think they got no hope?
Oh man, perseverance. I tell them how important perseverance is. It's I think it's a lot of people who maybe they don't have the people in their lives to be able to give them the kind of encouragement that some of us have been fortunate enough to be exposed to, especially having been through so many different, unfortunate experiences. Some of what you have to go through in order to have exposure to mentorship isn't always positive. So primarily for me, it's just to stay focused and keep hope. Like, faith is such a big deal. It's such an important part of the experience in order for a person to put one's foot in front of the other. And so I always just try and foster that sense of faith, man. Faith.
Right, right, right. All right. So with that being said, like, I tell all people all the time, man, don't wait for society to free you. You know what I'm saying? Start freeing yourself from within. That's where I respect your journey so much, bro. Like, especially with faith. A lot of people don't talk about that type of shit. Like, they don't. You didn't wait for freedom to find you. You wouldn't wait for faith to find you. You built it and started making that connection while you were still confined. Now, beyond the bars, bro, like we out the giant, we here in the future,
Yeah.
bro. Now I know that prophecy and purgatory just dropped, and the way your track record going, it's gonna be something in 2026.
Oh
So
yeah.
I can't wait. I can't imagine you slowing down anytime soon. So what's next for X Rated, man? Musically, personally, or in your mission to push reform and empowerment forward? What's next?
I think the next thing that I have to do as somebody considerate of what I mean to other people,
Yeah,
I'm looking at the messages, I'm interacting with people, and what I have to do for myself and for my children. And I mean, it's really in my spirit. I got to walk right into the light, right into it, and just take people with me.
yeah,
I feel like I keep going back into the darkness and hanging out in that because it's some trauma bond in there. There's some reason that I go back to it, attempting to say, "Hey, it's me," and try to. I'm not sure if I'm trying to save people from it or if I'm attempting to just be in proximity to it. I don't know what that is, but I do know that it's a part of the trauma. And what I think is necessary at this point in my life for my children, for my family, for my own sanity, is to walk into the light. I want people to see what I've done with my life. To all those people who were hopeful about that prophecy that I would come home and do well, it's time to show them that I did, and that I'm continuing to do so. It's time to be a beacon of hope and a source of inspiration for people who also, need something to show them that they can do it too, man. Like you can go from your core bottom, from your rock bottom, all the way up to heights that you could have never ever dreamed of, purely off of faith and determination, perseverance. I want to show it to people. So I think that's the next stage for me, is just kind of show people where I am now, talk about where I am now and what I want in the future, and not spend so much time immersed in the past, but be any usage of the past as a tool to demonstrate where we are now. Like you said earlier, this is to show you how we got here, and now that we're here, this is what we're doing here, and this is why it's important.
I love it, bro. You're not just rapping, you rewriting what redemptions look like in real time. Now before we close out, bro, I always like to ask this question because it grounds the whole entire conversation. Now, if you could go back and speak to a 17-year-old version of yourself, the one who was just starting this journey, not yet aware of like what was going to lead, what was going to happen, what would you tell 17-year-old X-Ray?
I would want him to know that everything is going to be okay. I would want him to know, like, to education. I would want to emphasize the importance of education and of faith and humanity. To just remember that, the people who are attempting to help, allow them to do it. Embrace the help. Embrace the hope. Embrace the faith. All these things that require courage. Because if people think, it's like, oh, have faith. It's like it's some type of weak connotation involved in that. But it's an incredible exhibition of strength for somebody to have faith, especially when there's no way to really even see that. It's just got to be a thing you feel. It can be completely irrational having faith like that, to believe like that. And so I would emphasize the importance of faith, focus, determination, and optimism. Why it's so important to have those things and to keep going and to embrace every sign that this is a good decision. Keep going. Because I could have started earlier with some of the positive things that I was doing. It's just, it took time to build the courage, the fortitude to do it. And so I would definitely want to advise myself and others to have the courage to walk to the light, have the courage, do it.
That's what's up, man. I hope that's some real powerful stuff, man. I hope every listener out there, especially those walking through their own like purgatory right now, that they take that to heart, man, because freedom isn't just a physical state. It's a spiritual awakening, man. Thank you, X-Rated, man. Thank you, bro, for your transparency, your art, and your leadership. You've not only survived the system, you're transforming it. On behalf of the Conviction Fiction podcast, we appreciate you for showing the world that transformation is possible. Now, I'm about to close out, but I want you to stick around for a minute. I just wanted to like do a wrap up type deal, make sure everything good. Now, family, you've been tuned into the Conviction Fiction podcast. Our guest today was the legendary artist X-Rated, whose new album of Prophecy and Purgatory is available now on all streaming platforms. Go listen to it. It's some real dope tracks on there. You can follow X-Rated and Strange Music for more, and stay connected with us at the Conviction Fiction. You'll see all the links in the bios. We turn pain into purpose on this show and narratives into new beginnings. So until next time, stay free, stay grounded, and remember, your past may shape you, but it doesn't have to define you. Peace.